all these animals and flying creatures of the heavens. And so no doubt, as he was looking at these creatures, but he noticed something unique about them. When he would go and probably name them, he would notice that there were two genders. There was a male and a female with the birds and with the animals. So what crossed his mind is, what about me? Did God think of me? Is there a compliment for me? But you know what? Jehovah was thinking about this. Even though when it came to Adam's mind, Jehovah already had it in mind. Notice what it says here in Genesis 2:18. Then Jehovah God said, "It is not good for the man to continue to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as a complement of him." Interesting. Jehovah had thought about it already, that Adam would need someone to work along with him. And aren't we glad? Because it makes the arrangement much better when we have someone that assists us. So what did Jehovah do then? Well, he put Adam in a deep sleep. He took one of his ribs, and then, let's go back to the account. I closed my Bible. But the account says it beautifully. Genesis 2. All right. And then let's look at verses 22. Jehovah God built the rib that he had taken from the man into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And what did Adam say? This is at last bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one will be called woman, because from man she was taken. Adam was stunned when he saw his wife to be. And we feel, I'm sure you feel the same way, Dalano, so it's definitely today. I mean, you're both beautifully adorned, and we're going to talk about that later on in our talk, how adornment also plays a part in our marriages. So we can see that Jehovah wanted them, he brought them together, and he wanted their marriage to last a long time, because in verse 24 it says they were supposed to leave mother and father, right? And they were stick together, and hopefully forever. That was the thought with Adam and Eve. But how can we have lasting marriages today? We realize that today, unions don't last that long. There's a lot of things. And so Jehovah, what he did, he brought them together, he performed the marriage, and he told them they would have a lasting, loving, and happiness in the future. So that's what we want to cultivate today, and now look at how you two can have a lasting and happy marriage, like many in the audience have today. The Bible will help us with this. Let's look at Jesus' example. Matthew chapter 22. Let's turn there together, please. Matthew 22. We're going to look at verses 37 through 40. Matthew 22, 37 through 40. Excuse me. He said to him, "You must love Jehovah your God with your whole heart, with your whole soul, and with your whole mind. And this is the greatest and first commandment. The second like it is that you must love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments the whole law hangs and the prophets." Now you two are both familiar with this. You're wondering, why are we reading this? Help us to see, but first, your marriage revolves around what? Jehovah God, right? And we're going to discuss that a little bit further. If he's a part of the marriage, your marriage will be stronger. It could be illustrated like this, and it's probably going to happen when you guys maybe go on your honeymoon or travel somewhere else. You both get in a car, right? This is a very unique car. You both step into the car, and this car has two steering wheels. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, if Dalano decides to grab the steering wheel, and Stephanie, you grab the other steering wheel, and you both want to drive the car, how far are you going to get? Not too far. It's going to be disastrous, actually, because you might pull either direction. You know, Stephanie, that in the marriage, the husband takes the lead, but you can be of support to him. And we're going to see how you're supporting him is not an improper thing. Oftentimes in this world, women look at demeaningly upon that the husband takes the lead. Well, we're going to see that from the Bible, it shows us that it's Jehovah's arrangement and how it works so well. If we turn to Ecclesiastes, let's turn there together. Ecclesiastes chapter 4. We're going to look at verses 9 through 12. Now we're going to look at 9 and just the first part of 12. And let's see if this is the kind of relationship you both want to have. It says, "Two are better than one. because they have a good reward for their hard work. For if one of them falls, the other can help his partner up. But what will happen to the one who falls with no one to help him up? Moreover, if two lie down together, they will stay warm, but how can just one keep warm? And someone may overpower one alone, but two together can take a stand against him. It's an interesting point here. We'll stop right there. So we know that, we'll just use ropes as an example. If you just have a one-strand rope, it's strong. But now if you intertwine it with another rope, the tensile strength is even stronger. And so it is in marriage. There'll be times that, Stephanie, you might have to pick up Dalano, and Dalano will pick you up. And that's how the scripture shows how a good marriage works, two that are working together. But you know what makes the bond even stronger? Look what B part of 12 says. And it says a third full cord cannot quickly be torn apart. It's interesting. You do a little research, you'll find that not all, but some ropes, if you add a third cord, the tensile strength is 4 to 5 times stronger. It's harder to pull apart. So the Bible knows what it's talking about when it says that. So the obvious question is, what's that third cord? Well, you know, it's Jehovah God. And when you have Jehovah in the marriage, then the marriage will be much stronger. The Bible well describes this, that things will work out better when we have Jehovah right in the midst of our family life. How is it? I'm going to give you an example. We're going to go back to that vehicle, but we're going to remove a steering wheel, okay? We're going to stick with one steering wheel, and we'll put Dalano in front of that steering wheel. We'll put Stephanie in the passenger seat, okay? So now you're both driving along. Excuse me. But you guys are using a guidance system. You know what the guidance system pictures? The Bible, God's Word. So that's that guidance system. So you guys are driving along, and then all of a sudden, Dalano switches the music. Maybe, Stephanie, you're having a conversation with Dalano, and you're not listening to the GPS. And so what happens is you go right past your exit. Is that the end of it? No, it's not the end of it. Because that happens in life. Is it the end of the road, so to speak? No, it's not the end of the road. What you have to do is the GPS will go ahead and recalculate, and it won't use any adjectives, it won't get excited or emotions, and it'll take you to your goal. So that's how God's Word is. So is Dalano going to make mistakes, Stephanie? Sure, of course he is. Excuse me. Stephanie, will you make mistakes? Dalano, acknowledge that. Realizing that as long as we have God's Word in our marriage, it's going to help us incredibly to overcome these obstacles that we'll face. It'll help us to have a good life together. Now, we're going to talk to you a little bit, Dalano, right now. 1 Corinthians 11:3 talks about I'm sorry. I try not to talk too much today. You don't need to read it. 1 Corinthians 11:3 talks about the headship arrangement. The headship arrangement is perfect until it gets down to you, Dalano. Stephanie, I'm sorry to tell you that. Everybody above Dalano is perfect, but when you get down to Dalano, he's imperfect. And that's okay. That's God's arrangement. The key is you can still work with that. Jehovah has put it in place. It will work. What does that mean for you, bud? What's your responsibility as the head? Well, you need to look after the family spiritually, materially, emotionally, right? And also recreational needs. Is that easy? No, it's not easy. What does that require of you? Let's say we'll talk about spiritually. Well, it means that you got to have a family study. You got to think of Stephanie. You need to pray for her. You need to pray with her. You got to think about her when you go in the ministry and how her ministry is. Everything in her life, just like it concerns you, she's a priority, the things that she does. Now, in this world that we live in, oftentimes people focus on the material. but the spiritual is what will help your family to last for years to come. So it's very important for you to focus on that. It's a challenge in our busy lives. My answer to you is definitely. But is it needed to be successful? Definitely. That's definitely the case. Look at Christ's example. Let's turn to Ephesians chapter 5. We turn to Ephesians 5. We're going to look at verses 25, then 28 and 29. Ephesians 5:25. This is directly right to you. See it, husbands. Continue loving your wives, just as the Christ also loved the creation and gave himself up for it. 28. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. The man who loves his wife loves himself. For no man ever hated his own body, but he feeds and cherishes it, just as the Christ does the congregation. So you see that, the good example that Jesus set. He loved and cherished the creation. In fact, how far did he go? He gave up his life for it. And that's what Christ is asking of husbands too. You put your wife in a prominent position, you will be willing to give up your life. She's a priority over your own self. A good example that Jesus set for us. What kind of temperament did Jesus have? He was mild-tempered, lowly in heart. Even when he was in difficult circumstances, he didn't fly off the handle. He was ready to be of help, and he had the personality that others would be endeared to him. And we'll get some of those expressions later. Yes, you would never want to downgrade Stephanie in front of others or even in private. It would be inappropriate. Yes, your words and actions will endear you to her. I want to give you a little. This comes from two psychologists from the University of Virginia. I think you'll find this interesting. This is the journal called Social Forces. It says the top predictions of women's marital happiness. Very interesting. A husband's emotional engagement. Women who are married to men who make an effort to listen to them, who express affection and appreciation on a regular basis. And then he gave some examples. He said date nights, frequent conversations, focusing on mutual interest in one another, are much happier in their marriages than women who do not have emotionally engaged husbands. Interesting how these two psychologists came up with this. But the Bible already gives us sound biblical advice, isn't it true? It tells us what will contribute to a good family life. You know what's interesting? Imperfections, misunderstandings, differences, that's inevitable. I can tell you right now, if we took a poll of the audience, everybody's going to raise their hand. That's going to happen. But the key is, it's not how compatible you two are. It's how you deal with the incompatibilities, or more simply, the differences that you have. See, how you deal with them will be the success of your marriage. It'll be in line with what Colossians 3:14 says. It's in the English Standard Version. It puts it so nicely. It says, love binds everything together in perfect harmony. Love will smooth things over. We could say love is like sandcloth. If you have a wall that's not smooth, you want to smooth it out, take it and and after you're done with it, everything's smooth. So love is like that. It works things out. Dalano, you'll be happy to know that Stephanie holds you in very high esteem. Yeah. When asked what endears her to you, this is what she said. Dalano is loving, humble, and supportive. Always positive, gentle when you speak, very generous and motivating, and always wanting to help in any way possible. How she visualizes her life together with you? She says, being able to spend her life in a constant conversation with my best friend, knowing every day will be an adventure because he's full of surprises. I'm not sure what she means by that. Getting to protect each other, I thought this was interesting, as one flesh, knowing we will fall deeper in love each day that passes, making our marriage secure. Isn't that beautiful words? Very nice. There's no doubt that when you met Dalano, you admired some qualities about him. But with time, he became your best friend as you got to know him better. Keep growing in these qualities that you display. Jehovah will continue to bless you both. Don't forget this day. Keep it as a snapshot in your mind. It will help you to overcome any obstacles you face in the future. Okay, we're going to talk to Stephanie now a little bit. The Bible shows that the wife has an honorable role. It's beautiful. 1 Peter puts it better than I could. Let's turn to 1 Peter chapter 3. Let's look at verse 7. I can't put it better than what the Bible says. 1 Peter 3:7. Thank you so much. You husbands, in the same way, continue dwelling with them according to knowledge, assigning them honor as to a weaker vessel, the feminine one. Since they are heirs with you of the undeserved favor of life, how important is it, Dalano? In order for your prayers not to be hindered. So never take for granted your relationship with Stephanie. Because if it's not a good one, it hinders your prayers to God. But how is this in connection with you, Stephanie? What does this require of you? Ephesians helps us along this line. Let's turn to Ephesians 5. And it shows the beautiful role that you can play. Ephesians 5. We're going to look at verses 22 through 24. Now, this is directed to you, Stephanie. You can see, let wives be in subjection to their husbands as to the Lord, because a husband is head of his wife, just as the Christ is head of the congregation, he being a savior of this body. In fact, as the congregation is in subjection to the Christ, wives should also be to their husbands in everything. Your recognition of the headship arrangement is going to bring you marital success and happiness. You're not two people both trying to take the lead. That will cause confusion and unhappiness. I can guarantee you that. Wife's deep respect for her husband is important because it shows that you're not in competition with him. And I think everyone in the audience knows that men like to be respected and women want to be loved. That's just how it is. If you wanted to bring it down to just a handful of words. But what does it mean that you're a compliment to him? This doesn't mean that you're a slave or inferior as a person, and you're not in competition either. That's the key. Marriage is not like a ship with two captains. It just won't work. Just like the car we spoke about earlier. Someone has to take the lead, but any good captain will tell you he will give honor to his crew. He says, I'm able to accomplish things because of the crew that I have. And it's the same way in marriage. Dalano will be twice the man he is with your support, but without your support, he'll be cut in half. It's a good thing to remember. A wife makes a husband more capable. So when he makes a mistake, don't say, Dalano, I told you so. I knew that was going to happen like that. We might feel that way, but it might be better just to move on and support him and help him in the next course. A loving wife will be understanding, not belittling of him. Why is this important? Because if a man is belittled enough, it's just like a drop of water that hits a stone. You might think that stone or rock will never break. Well, let me tell you what happens. Eventually that rock cracks. And what happens then, he won't want to take the lead. He'll let you take the lead. He says, you know what, maybe she'll do a better job. And that undermines the arrangement that God has in place. So we don't want to do that. Stephanie, you'll be happy to know that Dalano holds you in high esteem too. When asked, what about Stephanie endears you to her? Interesting. Stephanie is such a beautiful young lady, both inside and out. While she has many endearing features, it's the love she has for me that really stands out the most. One particular instance was when my cousin passed away. Last February, I was truly devastated. But Steph was my rock and shoulder to cry on when things got tough. Making frequent trips back and forth by train from the Bronx to Brooklyn at any hour just to be by my side. I'm not sure if I ever told her this, but it was that moment that I knew for sure that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I gotta stop for a second too. That was very nice. He'd give that some thought, I think, you know? How do you visualize your life together? Very interesting what he said. I visualize a long and happy marriage full of laughter, dancing, traveling, but most important, preaching. We both have similar spiritual goals, and I look forward to fulfilling them together and creating countless memories. Beautiful. When asked what one quality draws you the most to your future wife, he says the one quality that really drew me to Stephanie was her resilience. She's the type of person that will never give up. When she puts her mind to something, she will find a way to get it done. She has faced many challenging obstacles in life, and could have easily broken down. But she persevered and stayed close to Jehovah, and I truly love her for that. Beautiful words. Now remember these words. Remember these words a year from now, 10 years from now, and into the future, because you will draw strength from them. Yes, we'll say it again. Simply put, men love to be respected. Right? Men want to be respected, and women want to be loved. But what is going to help you both to cultivate deep love for each other in the marriage? Well, Dalano, Stephanie, you both are beautifully adorned. Remember I said that? I was going to touch on that. And the Bible talks about that adornment. Let's go to the Bible. Colossians chapter 3. Colossians chapter 3. And then we'll look at verses 12 through 14. Actually, we're not going to read 12 and 13. We're going to read 14. 12 and 13 shows that we need to show forgiveness, okay? But look what 14, this is the point. Colossians 3:14. But besides all these things, clothe yourselves with love, for it is a perfect bond of union. Oh, today you're so beautifully dressed. You're handsome and gorgeous both at the same time. But what the qualities that we want to develop is that bond of love. Good, beautiful clothing is like that bond of love. And if you guys continue to develop that, you'll have a marriage that will bring you endless joy. Isn't that beautiful, fellow? Both mates. I want to tell you an example of one gentleman that was married for 75 years. I forgot to bring my watch. I had it in the drawer, I left it at home. But he had one of these watches, you know, in the old days, men would have a nice watch, gold watch in their pocket. Well, he would pull out this gold watch, and he opened it up. He had a picture of his wife, and you know what he had engraved inside? He says, "Say something nice to Sarah." That was his wife's name. Say something nice to Sarah. So, and he was married 75 years. And he pulled out that watch every day. So it reminded him to do what? Remember his wife every day, to say a good word. Set aside time daily to talk together. I want to repeat that. That is the most powerful thought, I think. Set aside time daily to talk together. Really listen to each other. Make it a habit to show kindness in little things, and be tender in your words and affections. Yes, if you do, you'll be following what Corinthians says. 1 Corinthians 13, it says that love never fails. It never does when we have that approach. Yes, our love for our mates is only second to Jehovah. That's the most special relationship we have. But after that, our husband, our mates, is the most valuable thing that we have. Yes, draw on these expressions, like we said, when you face adversities in the future. May it be a desire to fulfill the words of Matthew 19:6. It's beautiful. I'll just quote it to you. It says, "Therefore," and these are Jesus' words, "what God has yoked together, let no man put apart." This brings us to the end of our talk. In the legal portion of it, we're going to give our attention to Brother Ramos as he handles the marriage vows.
Okay, this moment that you've all been waiting for. So you can stand. I have a question to ask both of you. You've had plenty of time to think about it, so now just a matter of answering. So this is for Dalano. Actually, if you want to, yeah, it's this side so I can't like to go through. So Dalano, do you, Dalano Drayton, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Stephanie Cintron to be your wedded wife, to love and to cherish in accordance with the divine law as outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands, for as long as you both may live.
I do.
And now, Stephanie. Do you, Stephanie Cintron, in the presence of Jehovah God and these witnesses, take Dalano Drayton to be your wedded husband, to love and to cherish and deeply respect, in accordance with the divine law as outlined in the Holy Scriptures for Christian wives, for as long as you both may live?
I do.
That was easy. Now, who gives this woman to be married to this man? Thank you. So now we get to the point of the vows. So Dalano, if you could repeat after me. I, Dalano Drayton, take you, Stephanie Cintron, to be my wedded wife.
I, Dalano Drayton, take you, Stephanie Cintron, to be my wedded wife.
To love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
In accordance with the divine law.
In accordance with the divine law.
As set forth in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands.
As set forth in the Holy Scriptures.
in the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands.
In the Holy Scriptures for Christian husbands.
For as long as we both shall live together.
For as long as we both shall live together.
On earth.
On earth.
According to God's marital arrangement.
According to God's marital arrangement.
Okay. Now, Stephanie. I, Stephanie Cintron, take you, Dalano Drayton, to be my wedded husband.
I, Stephanie Cintron, take you, Dalano Drayton, to be my wedded husband.
To love and to cherish and deeply respect.
To love and to cherish and to deeply respect.
In accordance with the divine law.
In accordance with the divine law.
As set forth in the Holy Scriptures for Christian wives.
As set forth in the Holy Scriptures for
Christian wives.
Christian wives.
For as long as we both shall live together on earth.
For as long as we both shall live together on earth.
According to God's marital arrangement.
According to God's marital arrangement.
So now, will there be an exchange of the rings? These rings are an outward and visible sign signifying until all the uniting of this man and this woman in the bonds of matrimony. For as much as Dalano Drayton and Stephanie Cintron have covenanted before Jehovah God and these witnesses to accept each other in wedlock, I, as an ordained minister, and by the authority conferred upon me by the Holy Scriptures and the state of New York, pronounce that they are husband and wife together. What God has yoked together, let no man put apart. And so now we want to invite Brother Ashley Drayton, and he will ask for Jehovah's blessing.
Dear Heavenly Father, Jehovah, as we approach you here with bowed heads and humble hearts, we ask your blessings be upon this evening's activities. We know this is a very joyous occasion, the marriage of Dalano and Stephanie. And like was brought out in the talk, and this is a arrangement that was instituted by you in the Garden of Eden. So because Dalano and Stephanie are doing it the way you would want them to do it, we know that this makes your heart glad, and we ask that you bless them in the days, the weeks, and the years to come as they seek your guidance. We ask that you continue to strengthen them and make their marriage a strong marriage. Because we know that marriage is a strong marriage is a cornerstone of a strong family, a strong congregation, a strong society. So we ask that you strengthen them and help them to remain in union with each other and in union with you. As always, we always want to remember the whole brotherhood and the association. We ask that you keep them upbuilding and strengthening in these last days. All these things we ask in the name of our reigning Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Now, it is my happy pleasure to introduce to this marriage gathering brother and sister Dalano and Stephanie Drayton. Like Tiffany Bright. So at this moment, we'd like to invite the witnesses to come up, and we are going to sign the legal documents here. So if you'd like to come on up. So that's the wedding. Now we'll invite Brother Bono, who has a few more announcements to make.
Appreciate everyone's attendance on this special and joyous occasion. We just have a few announcements. There is a reception to follow, but this is by invitation only, and the family asks, please, that we respect this arrangement. The bride and groom have requested that if you will not be attending the reception, or if you're a family member, please stay in the main auditorium so that the couple can greet you and thank you for your support. If everyone else can exit at this time to allow space for the others, that would be greatly appreciated. The receiving line will start off stage to my right. Okay, those are all our announcements. Thank you.